New York as well carries a lot of great.
Yes.
Here we are. Great to be here, Jeff.
Here we are. So we are live with Dollarsandart Jim Wheat. So welcome everybody to another live walkthrough in the Terra Virtual Art Gallery. We have a very special guest today. I already said his name, Jim Wheat from Dollarsandart, but he is coming with some interesting art today, a lot of interesting storytelling for you, which all you artists out there know that I love. As you can see in the background, we do see some former President Trump's art there. So there is definitely some story here. So this is going to be a good one. So Jim, welcome. Thanks for coming on with us. I usually like to start this and ask, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, some background on, where you're from, how you got into art. I just want to give you the microphone, leave it up to you, and, introduce yourself to our community and those watching.
Cheers, Jeff, and thanks to everyone for tuning in today. So Jim Wheat, founder of Dollarsandart. Art became my salvation in 2008-9 when my circumstances changed. I went from civil engineering and construction with personal loss, financial loss, emotional loss, and it was a massive cry for help for me when I was back in Dubai. I was my 9th year in the Middle East in Dubai on Sheikh Zayed Road, for those that know it. And my cry for help was combining dollar signs and sand, ripping my TV off my studio apartment wall. That became my literal studio as I looked into human nature and both sides of the coin. And in the corporate world in construction, I took a lot of money and things I had gifted to me for granted. And then when it all went away, you can count the people that you can rely on one hand.
That's
and it was a case of survival, Jeff. So I never trained. My currency is from the heart and authenticity, warts and all, and I'm in the pursuit of excellence, not perfection. As many of us know, perfection is so elusive. So I'm hoping to engage with you today and share a bit of vulnerability and why we've chosen today to launch on this NFT space, the magical marketplace here at Terra Virtua that is going to make my work more accessible to everyone all over the world. And this is the idea.
So Jim, what is so special about today's date? I know you're excited to kick off this conversation. Why don't you go ahead and tell us about the date?
I don't want to name drop, but it's someone's 75th birthday today. Someone that had his voice taken away from him to 87 million people overnight, and this person was, in fact, someone the pleasure of meeting back in Dubai in 2014, back in May 2014, when I'd conceptualized something called the Heroes and Villains collection. And what I wanted to do, I had a physical art gallery in DIFC that showcased what I would call 20 acrylic artworks with celebrity signed dollar bills with a whole host of names. But also the other side of that coin was 10 paintings that were from the taxi driver, the security guard, the guy who fills the gas with petrol in 50-degree heat in the Middle East. I wanted to explore the dichotomy of both sides of that coin with the heroes and villains. So I got to hear through a great friend who was vice president of the Atlantis Hotel on the Palm in Dubai at the time, a guy called James Wyndham, Australian legend. Dubai will know him. And he went, "Wait, we got this tramp's coming in. He's launching this Akoya Damak golf and villa resort. This heroes and villain things you're planning for 2015, it's a year away, but is that of interest to you?" I said, "Mate, I've been doing dollar bills. I've got Alice Cooper to sign the dollar. I've got the Wolf of Wall Street to sign the dollar." I said, "Trump will be the absolute ultimate." And the rest, they say, is history. And thankfully, I managed to get up close and personal to Trump with no invitation. And the Dollarsandart ethos is go guerrilla marketing, follow that heart and take that risk. And that got me straight to Trump, who signed not only one, but 2 dollar bills on that occasion. And they then worked themselves back into the artwork, one of which is right behind me now in physical form that you can see in Terra Virtua NFT'd formats in various colors, shapes, and sizes.
I have a couple of questions for you. I probably have a lot of questions coming your way. So first, you know, I definitely want to get into the dollar bills thing. I want to say that for the second question, but for the first question, I think, you know, obviously Donald Trump has been riddled with controversy. People think he's an evil guy. Some people think he's just, you know, an amicable guy. There really is no gray area. It's black and white when it comes to Donald Trump. And I'm just curious, you know, when you met him, what was your experience like that with him? Was he rude? Was he nice? What kind of experience was that, meeting and chatting with him when you first were there in Dubai?
You know what? My key to get to him was actually through a lady in the media from Tunisia who was a massive fan of Ivanka Trump. So I figured that if we could get to Ivanka and stop the whole cavalcade, as it were, and get to him when Ivanka was having a selfie with my friend, and literally as they walked into this grand atrium marquee at the Atlantis Hotel where Sundance used to be held, for those of you in Dubai that remember dancing to that over the years, it was for 250 VIP guests that had all spent $2 million upwards to $10 million on a villa or apartment complex that would one day in 2017, 2018 become Trump International Golf Course. So I kind of had no right to be there. And I went through all the official channels and got absolutely nowhere. But when on the day itself, the evening itself, he was due in at 7 p.m. and he walked up at 8:45. So there was a big wait. And as he came in, the standing ovation came. And my Tunisian reporter friend went through security like butter. She was local dressed with the face covered, and everyone stepped out the side. And she took a picture of Ivanka and said, you know, you inspire women all over the world. And with what's going on in the Middle East, we really admire you. And bearing in mind, this is May 29th, 2014, you know, way before he'd even announced firmly the desire to run for the 45th president's position, and also before he'd even got on stage to meet and greet his investors. So as she was doing that and giggling and high-pitched squealing, I just went into Donald and went, look, could you sign the dollar bill? And he turned and said, you're asking me for a dollar bill? And I said, no, Mr. Trump, here's my dollar bill. Would you mind signing it? I'd love you to be in my Heroes and Villains collection.
Yeah.
So you can see, this is the table before people had even sat down to eat. You can see the Akoya Damak, and this was as he was headed to his table. So sure enough, in typical Trump fashion, he said, look, I'll sign the dollar, but I get to keep your pen.
No way. Did he really keep it?
Now this pen, I'm not talking I'm not talking my pen sponsor, Monty Grappa. I'm not talking a high-end pen. I'm talking pretty much a dauber pen that the old ladies in the UK would use for bingo, and in America you'd use it to keep score of the American football on a Sunday. So it's that thick, just that thick, no label, not even a Sharpie. And I quickly thought, well, if he's getting the pen, that means he's more than $1. So I said, look, could you sign the $2 bill with me? And we've got a deal. And he went, okay, deal. So then he sat down and he signed not one, but $2 bills, right? And when I posted this on social media, my friend said, slightly overweight, fake tan and white teeth. Enough about Jim O'Donnell.
Right.
What about Donald? And I got this barrage of, how on earth have you just done that? But he literally, as he signed, he said, have you invested with us? Is that why you're here? You got a property with me? And I said, to be honest, no, I'm a bit of a starving artist. I've sacrificed everything to do this, but one day maybe I will. And he went, look after that lady who walked you in there and she's laughing with Ivanka. She's good. She's good for your exhibition. I said, thank you very much. He said, are you joining us for dinner tonight? And I went, no, mate, I can't. I've got to go and play golf in the morning.
Yeah. One of those things you should have done it, right?
Yeah, well, kind of, but you know what? It was that magical. I kind of went to shake his hand and felt a bit Forrest Gump. You know, I'm kind of there in the background. And he sort of walked away, and then security from Damak and Atlantis were like, what is this? Who are you? Could you just come to one side? Can we see your ID? And it was all that official stuff. And I was explaining about my heartfelt desire to honor the ultimate businessman, Donald Trump, at the time, the guy manipulated and worked with the dollar and swears to this day of that dollar bill, right? And then when that happened, it takes me about 3 or 4 hours to come down from these celebrity meets, and also when I'm doing it with the humble parts of society as well. And I'm not one to judge who the hero or villain is, but when I got those $2 back, the $1 bill and the $2 bill, they then went into 2 separate artworks that miraculously have become truer year on year over the last 7 years. And that's where I feel very fortunate to share this exclusively with the Terra Virtua platform today.
Awesome. That's a great story. Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, so I'm curious, did you tell him that it was going to go into your Heroes and Villains like series that you've got?
Very quickly, I said I want to honor him in the Heroes and Villains collection.
Did he ask which side he was going to be on?
No, I think given the circumstances of 250 investors, I think he was very much on the angelic side of the collection at that moment in time. But the fact he asked for the pen, and I then out-trumped him to get the $2 bill signed, who's the hero or villain there? And if it wasn't for that second bill being signed, we wouldn't be looking at the screen, and I wouldn't have honored him in a Twitter format in this now NFT piece of art that is so exciting to drop very shortly.
Absolutely. And I think this is a perfect time to kind of segue into, we've been talking about signing dollar bills. As we can see here, just a quick preview before we get into the actual pieces. Obviously, if you look closely, you see dollar bills in the art. On your name, it's dollars in art. How did you first get into, or just tell me about the whole regimen of the dollar bill within your art and how that started and how we got to today. I think we heard about, celebrities and people. I think we picked up on the fact, like you said, Wolf of Wall Street as well. Jordan Belfort signed one. It seems that this is your theme, like your brand of getting, celebrities or famous influencers to sign these dollar bills. I just want to learn a little bit more about that concept and have you share about how you just randomly thought about doing that and incorporating that into art pieces.
Sure. Well, very much the signed celebrity dollar thing is within the context of my 5th collection, which was Heroes and Villains 2015. So 4 collections before that, the very first one, the Money collection, which is 28 originals, was all about my mourning, my challenges, my stress, my frustration. So that was very cathartic for me to get that one out. 2014 became my Intergalactics, which is all space age, Atari computers, VIX-20, ZX-81s, all the retro stuff, and Star Trek and E.T. And so that became a celebration of my childhood. And on the collections raged. But the real key, the real therapy for me, having been the corporate hero, if you like, and then potentially the jobless villain with an unjustified debt against my name when I was treated so badly and ran through the mill. And that's the corporate world a lot of the time. So it fed me, and I took every dollar of that, and I took it for granted. And then when that all went away and everything was gone, I sold everything I had to pursue the dollars and art dream. Now, there's an emotional reason why the dollar. 1993, I won a scholarship from the University of Nottingham where I was doing my master's in civil engineering. Left side of the brain, critical path, structural mechanics, hydraulics, geotechnics, all that real technical heavy stuff that I worked so hard to do. I went to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo to do the master's degree. And it was a dream ticket of a year. It was like Beverly Hills 90210 at the time meets an overweight Baywatch, meets this guy that wanted to do soccer coaching in America and just embrace that American dream. And before I left, friends of mine at the time said, sign the dollar bill for someone you love. It's good luck before you go to the States. I'm like, okay, sign the dollar bill on the 23rd of August, 1994. So we're going way back. And that dollar bill is still on Mum's notice board. that tells her what time the milkman's coming every other week, and whether it's recyclable compost or whether it's got bottles and plastic this week. So that's been on that notice board, but it symbolized my American dream of going to the US, graduating from Cal Poly with Nottingham master's degree, and taking on the world over there, right? Purely from a transportation, highways, and civil engineering perspective. Didn't quite work out that way, and I ended up realizing I didn't have the attention span, although I had the master's degree, to be that civil engineer focusing on that one project, focusing on that critical path, focusing on the supply chain. So I became a salesman who sold technical solutions to civil engineers. So I could speak the language if they had water coming in through a dam, if they had an expansion joint on a freeway or a motorway, I could give them the super glue, the specification of the cement. And lo and behold, it involves sand in the concrete and super plasticizer solutions. So what happened? My American dream shifted to Dubai. And Dubai in 2002, 3, 4 was announcing to the world, at Emaar Square, we're going to have the tallest tower in the world, and it will be the most prestigious square kilometer of real estate on the planet. Even beating Hong Kong, Manhattan, you name it. Dubai's going to do this. And I used to look over the road at Sheikh Zayed Road, near Pet Zone Pet Shop, for those of you in Dubai that are watching. And Burj Khalifa came up from the foundations, 75-meter deep foundations that we supplied the plasticizers to make the concrete do amazing things. 818 meters later, 6 years later, Burj Khalifa opens, and that mirrored my journey of success within construction as a general manager from sales and marketing background.
It's pretty cool.
So they used to say to me, you could sell sand to anyone, mate. You know, this is, you can sell, you're passionate, you engage. And but construction, even hand on the heart, I would be the marketing and creative guy that in meetings, people would be like, oh, it's the end of the week and they brought Jim in and he wants to brainstorm and he wants to tell us about our next marketing plan. Oh, I just want to get home to the family and play golf. Well, what I was going through at that time was separation, bereavement, and then the job was taken away from me with a couple of circumstances that are for another day. But I managed to get through those and managed to get through the other side, ending up entertaining people on the golf course in the golf industry as commercial manager of Dubai Golf, hoping to look after the right type of people on the golf course so I could earn my commissions. And I became golf executive in the day and artist at night. So I would plug all those corporate feelings back into my body of work in 2011, 2012, and 2013. So that was the sand aspect, and the dollar aspect then came to me. Well, sand, every grain of sand, when I started working with sand in my earlier collections, I would put sand onto the art itself, and I would do dollar S's, dollar signs, and I would come up with this combination of, well, if sand's energy and every grain of sand looks the same, but in fact, when we go close like human beings with our own soul journey, we're all very different. So the sand aspect became like my currency, as it were, which is ironic because I'm associated solely really with, that's the guy who gets Alice Cooper, Lewis Hamilton and Carl Cox to sign dollar bills. Yeah. So the sand side was really the heart of what I do. And when I launched the brand in 2012, people would say dollars and art, dollars and art, dollars and art. They'd see the dollar S, and then a few would start picking up on the sand. So the dollar aspect psychologically is people living their dream on their terms and hopefully getting a form of energy for it. Money is ultimately energy. And when I did, I jumped in recently to a DMCC Dubai tokenomics session that they did with an American guy called Brock Pierce, who actually ran for president and is chairman of the Bitcoin Association. And he explained that crypto is currency, it's energy, and it's an exchange of money. Now, when you're hearing that validation 8 or 9 years after you've given birth to a brand that celebrates energy and money together, then dollars and art, the art side of it is authenticity, being who we are, getting an exchange of energy, money to pay the bills, whatever that might be, and then using the sand as each and every individual is honored in a very unique way
Yeah.
And that I get commissions from various people from all walks of life. So back to 2015 Heroes and Villains, it was such a poignant collection for me that we're digging in the NFT space, a space that Trump denounced last week in Bitcoin terms as crypto's fake news, it's no good for me, I want the American dollar. And the irony we have here with this piece, and I've got the original behind me that I can bring up to screen and go through, but the dollar bill versus cryptocurrency is exactly what we're going to be dropping in the Terra Virtua marketplace to start the Heroes and Villains journey over the next 3 to 4 months.
Cool. So why don't we go ahead and since we're this such an easy segue into everything here with this conversation, why don't we just go ahead and bring up and start talking about some of these pieces that we have. Yeah. I know we have different variances of them, and in interest of time, at least, you know, let's get through a few of them here and have you talk about, I mean, at least for me, you know, one thing I like to ask is, you know, how are you creating these pieces? Obviously, we know what the whole background of the dollar bill concept is, but you know, I think a lot of people out there tend to ask artists, you know, how did you think about doing this design, your color scheme, what types of tools did you use to create this piece? Again, I'm going to let you, you know, just have an open floor and tell us all about this piece.
Sure. So back in 2017, I launched something called the Disruptives, and the Disruptives were a pop art based, kind of a tongue-in-cheek Warhol, Marilyn, Foursquare, $. And I did a poll: who are the most 10 disruptive people at all time? Who would you want dinner with? Who do you remember? And we got Winston Churchill, we got Frank Sinatra, we got Amy Winehouse, we got Bowie. And in at number 10 was Donald Trump.
Ha.
So he was in as a disruptive. And the way we depicted him was the image you see of Trump there with the dollar signs around him was the original acetate that I used to screen print a limited edition of 13 disruptive Donald Trumps. So what I've done is broken the rules with screen printing. You're meant to use the acetate, use the colors, destroy the acetate away. If you want to use it again as a screen, it's there to print. Well, I physically fixed that to a board, and then the fun started. The black board behind that, which is fixed onto the acetate, contains the folded dollar bill of the signed Donald Trump $1 folded with the all-seeing eye looking over it, with the order out of chaos message. So that Trump dollar bill serves as the centerpiece, front and center. Above that is my pre-decimal British pound note that I signed because I was born in 71, the year that UK went pre-decimal. So 1971, big year. And the cash card, credit card, either side of that is my expired bank card that I'd used all my credit up to follow my dream as an artist. So I broke the bank. I literally broke the bank and leveraged all the debt I could to get to this position. And as it was going on, Trump's presidency became a reality. He was very much voiced using Twitter. So I made Trump the general of Twitter and gave him those, look at that Pacific Highway 1. Wow, love that. Trump on the general of Twitter, and it's getting more disruptive in that space. So what else did I do? I ordered a Twitter Lego Trump, and there he is under his.
I see it right. Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, perfect.
Oh, nice close up. So the voice box of Trump became the child on Twitter, and he's stood on the Lego wall. What was he famous for? Build the wall, build the wall, build the wall. Hero villains. Heroes and villains, and on each Lego block is the dollar bills of 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 50, and 100. So each of those Lego dollar bills is a dollar bill in its own right with a different president on that depicts what dollar bill it is from left to right. And if we go literally on the left side, a lot of people miss this with this piece of work, the long boot of Uncle Sam kicking the right shoulder of Trump.
I see it.
Uncle Sam puts the boot in, and it goes all the way from left to right. But look at the Twitter bird on Trump's left shoulder. It's got a microphone, and the microphone's getting dropped. And what's left? The hearts of the world and the nation thinking, they've cut him off. freedom of speech, have a heart, whether you agree with what he said or not. And the way he ran policy, there wasn't a rule book broken. The rule book didn't exist. And with that became hero and villain moments during his presidency where you'd write him off one day and then he's, you know, dancing over the line with world leaders that are eating out of his hand. And it's like, there's two sides to this coin. So it's based on that slippery foundation to build the wall and the choppy seas that he's sailing in below that. But when we go up, what have we got behind him either side? We've got the dollar. We've got the all-seeing orange eye and the all-seeing blue eye of Twitter. That's almost the human side of the man and the AI side of the man. But what I wanted to do was really, really look into that heart.
That's interesting. You know, at first glance, you didn't really notice how much is actually going on here. And I'm guilty. I actually didn't see Uncle Sam's boot there. So I find this very intriguing. And obviously, there's a big message that you're trying to send here. And I know in previous conversations, we spoke about, you know, art being subjective and how you view it's up to people purchasing this. Do they view Donald Trump as a villain for some of the things that you've just discussed, or do they view him as kind of like a silent hero that was silenced? And, you know, again, we've had this subjective conversation, and I'm going to put you under the gun with a big question. Is Donald Trump a hero or a villain to you?
In my world, politics aside, a hero. For freedom,
I would have guessed that. I would have guessed it.
Freedom of speech during the most disruptive times that humanity has ever witnessed. And I don't think he's done yet, politics aside. But the Greenback one that you're showing, this is the Greenback Edition. This is the second of the NFTs. And the irony with my work is screen prints can be $2,000 or $3,000 of my work. A basic small print, just standard, can be $500, $600, $700 a time. But what we've done as a team together is we're going to make this so much more accessible for anyone with access to a credit card around the world. And the irony is we're exploring the way you guys have brought this to life. And this is very much Terra Virtua's work. You've got the spinning dollar, you've got the heart beating, you've got the banknotes coming up. It's like being in the casino of life, and it's like follow your heart and hopefully the money's going to land. And that kind of mirrors me more than the artwork that I've done as an extension of myself. And I think this is where the NFT digital art gets very, very exciting for all artists. And if you're authentic and you can tell that story, when you team up with someone like Terra Virtua, you're connecting the dots that I've missed. And this is what this is all about. So this is literally shiver down my spine stuff, knowing that the works of this nature are going to be available for entry-level prices of, and do you mind if I drop in what's going to be happening?
Yeah, no, please, go ahead. Yeah.
You know, you're looking at 75 British pounds because Trump's 75 today, 100 US dollars get you or a friend or your children or a gift. And that's going on the marketplace straight after this, and we'll remain there. Now, what's going to happen is with the sexy stuff that you guys have done, there's other variations on this that, guess what? Bringing cryptocurrency over the dollars, and they're more expensive. There's going to be less mints of these. I mean, look at that. The pink blushing. We've called that the blush. Can you imagine him ever blushing? Probably not.
I don't think he has it in him.
You know, we've got
he cares. Yeah.
You know, we've got the pink blush, but we've got the neon pop art. We've got the blue seas, and every time I see a different one of these limited minted editions, it just excites me because it's popped to life in a very unique way. And I've already had inquiries. You know, can we buy the series? Well, yeah, absolutely, you can. Can we buy one that has a special message on? Anything's possible in the space, but things for a bespoke Trump level are going to take time. And that's why to kick off the Hero and Villains collection with this, I think it's just a masterstroke, and the timing of it to bring this piece of life. And you could probably tell by my passion, I've kept the story under my locker for approaching 7.5 years now. And it's become more relevant that I've been doing activations in Aston Martin in Wilmslow with the new DB9 and DB11 cars. And I would bring this piece of art that was 70-80% finished, and I'd still be adding the colors and the brush strokes as Trump was in power. So as the years have gone, it's become more truth. So this is where the NFT, the whole NFT concept, and a lot of collectors of mine are way in the heads, oh, miss Bitcoin, miss the boat. No, NFTs, it's for kids. Don't understand it. I don't play computer games. Whoa, whoa, whoa. There's a lot more to this. Guess what's going to be still around in 100 years? It's not going to fade with light.
NFTs.
The digital asset will not fade, but there's only a limited time that you can buy these. And when the big one drops in the months ahead, guess what happens to your investment with that initial $100, $1,000, $3,000 NFT? If the big one goes big, then guess what goes up in the market? Hashtag, this is not financial advice, right?
Yeah, you always have to put that at the end to be safe.
Oh,
and Jen, and as we're talking with Jim, Jen, if just in the interest of time, I at least want to make sure we at least show. So if you just wanted, like, every couple of minutes, maybe flip through a couple of them, it'd be nice just to get them all on stream, because I want to make sure that we're able to finish up in time, so that the release is coming right after this in about 25 minutes or so. But I definitely want to get them up on screen and at least do that. So we do have one question actually for you, Jim.
Yes, I've seen that. Bye from Badass Crypto. Greetings. Thanks for joining us. So, did any famous person ask me to sign the dollar bill? Do you know what? What a brilliant question. I'll tell you why. Part of my work the summer before last was helping prisoners of the local penitentiary prison in HMP Berwyn in Wrexham use mental health and art as a way to help with therapy and rehabilitation. And I went in to the prison over a 3-month period every other Friday and worked with staff and residents to tell them some stories about people that had signed the dollar bill. And do you know what? At the end of me giving them Dollarsandart certificates to say that they're on the journey, they're all artists, they can all paint. These are guys that the self-worth was so low that when someone says, good job, you can do that, their self-worth shifted, and we produced a collection called The Dance of Life in 2019 that's on the Dollarsandart website. But here's the thing. One guy said at the end, what was it like meeting Lewis Hamilton, the racing driver? What was it like meeting Alice Cooper? How was Donna Karan, New York? What was Trump like? And one guy at the end said, brilliant that, mate. You're going to sign my banknote? I want your signature. And I went, have you got a pen? And I thought, I'm going to end up trumping him. And I said, I'm joking. I've got a pen, because you have to watch in prisons what you can carry. So I'd had approval, thankfully, for my Sharpie marker pen. And at the time, I'd just won sponsorship by Monty Grappa to do the pen. So I signed him the British £10 note that he had to me. And then, of course, there's then a line of the guys asking. And I said, it's 101, guys. I can't do that again. So the fact that they're heroes and villains, a famous person has never asked me, but I do sign alongside them. So when they sign, I sign as well. Generally speaking, the Trump piece that you're seeing there is quite special because I've not signed the dollar. Trump's enough by himself, but above that is my signed £10 pre-currency banknote, the £1 banknote. So great question, Badass Crypto, and that's very, very well timed. Thank you.
We've got another one here. So fantastic work. Trump is seen by some as a diversive figure.
Yeah.
Are you able to block out the politics and focus on him as an individual? And does it affect your creative process?
Good question. Good question.
Yeah.
Brilliant question. You're dealing with the dream artist, because I don't follow politics. I'm clueless. And I think politics in themselves are very divisive. And as I approach 50 years old on October the 5th this year, I'm sick of shouting at the TV if I ever do have it on. And I'd rather just, curate my own experiences, which again is what the NFT world is about. Get your own NFT digital gallery, right? Yep. So I don't let it cloud my judgment, because ignorance is bliss. And if you're working from here as an artist, then the less you know, the better. And guess what that does for you? It gives you a vulnerability, but it also gives an authenticity. One of the biggest compliments someone I overheard saying at my very first Dubai Dollar project, the Media One Hotel, in April 2013, and I was putting my heart and soul on display. No one famous, no props, no mirrors. My story, 28 paintings. And I overheard someone go, "Oh, your 3-year-old could have done that." And he shook his head. He shook his head. He was there for the champagne and the beer and the canapes, which a lot of people have been in the art world over the years. And I, whatever anyone drinking, I'm on oolong and it's free, but cheers to that. And I heard the comment and my head dropped and I thought, that's better than no comment. So apathy and indifference, the fact that two people somewhere in the world have bothered to ask us a question that is so on point and on the money, I'm really, really flattered and honored by that. And I don't exaggerate that lightly. In a world where we expect 4.6 million likes and we're Ronaldo at Burj Khalifa, that's not my market. That's not who I am. But the authenticity of the connections and the questions that have come up so far validate the whole of this broadcast.
Absolutely. And I think, as we're, and thanks, Jen, for, keeping to cycle through some of these artworks so people are able to see a preview of all of them in time. They're unique, they stand out. They definitely pop. I mean, it's the Donald Trump picture. I mean, it's a figure that everybody in the world is completely familiar with, but I also find it intriguing on these different color schemes that you're using. And I don't know, I think I might have asked this earlier, but I'd love to touch on it again, is, if you're able to, and you want to speak about it, what types of programs do you use when you're creating the art schemes, or color palettes and, animations here? I'm curious. And, I know a bunch of people out there and some aspiring artists, look up to guys like you that have a history and to see, well, what's your strategy in regards to like the tools and programs that you're using for this?
Very, very simple. I best source that side of my work. I don't have the attention span to design. I don't have the attention span. I am absolutely horrendous. I'm the guy, if you want me to cook you a risotto, a paella or curry or a Mexican dish, I will throw everything in the cupboard and not follow the recipe. It's not going to happen. You can put it on a podcast. I'm not going to follow the steps. Omelette, I'm nearly 50 and I've just learned to make an omelette. That's what you're dealing with. So I have a designer in the US, a designer in Dubai, and a designer in Chester in the north of England. And I send them briefs and I go, "Hey, this is Twitter Trump. This is what we're doing. This is the work. Can we screen print this together? Have you got time to look at it?" So I have digital art designers and I pay them straight up front, by the hour, by the design. No quibbling, no, do you want to buy an artwork instead? And they're paid. And I've best sourced that for the last 8-9 years. It's the same with my framing. I've never framed. You want a frame from me? It's going to be crooked and broken. You want a frame from some of the best craftsmen in California, Dubai, i.e. Satwa, or the UK, i.e. Birkenhead or London. So I have no shame in best sourcing assets of my brand, so the best people, A, can get work from it, B, earn a living from it, and C, amplify it better than I could. So I am not in the business of design. What I have done from day one is Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, LinkedIn for validation of my work since 2011 and 12. And I've let go of it. I've given it to agencies, and guess what? I end up losing followers. They end up unfollowing. They end up buying followers. I end up with Android Autobots following me that want to sell me 1,000 likes. So I've learned different assets of my art to best source. I don't call it outsource. It's getting other people to do it better than I can. Some of them love credit. Most of them, like photographers, a guy called Ray Jones here in North Wales, and I've got Colby in Sacramento in California. These guys take uber high-res photos of the images. Without them, I couldn't be dropping high-res NFTs of Trump, because I've invested in that photography for the last decade in every collection. So guess what? When NFTs landed and you need high resolution digital assets, that's my last 10 years investment, thankfully, coming full circle. And I'd encourage fellow artists out there to embrace your communities, to build people up and give them a name, and to pay them before you're paid. Money is energy. You hold on to that and you don't pay, and you make them wait 60, 90, 120 days. Guess what? You're not going to make a living in your work. But if you pay people fair and square, and however that is, I've bartered deals, I've taken people for golf, I've sent them a print and said, thanks for what you've done. The money will follow in PayPal. Because debt is a horrendous, throat-crushing feeling that I've lived. And that's why my bank card in these NFTs is split down the middle with a banknote from the year I was born.
Absolutely. I think, I think everybody watching and everybody here can say, especially in our younger years, we've all had that battle with debt, whether it's a credit card, a student loan, or overspending or something. We've all had that battle with the currency itself. So
look at the crypto dropping. Look at the crypto piece, Jeff. Can I talk about this?
Yeah, absolutely. Jim, I was going to say, if you want a job at Terra Virtua working with us, you're asking and answering all the questions I was going to answer for you. Ask you. So
And I have to say, one of the things like working with you over the last month is being so good is that I just want to go back onto what you were saying about Instagram and how you manage it all. Like, you are so super passionate about this, and it's been an absolute dream because there are people out there with ideas, but they don't know how to talk to their community. So perhaps that's something that you can kind of give back to some of the sort of artists and everything.
Yeah, of course, and also as well, I lost someone nicked my subscriber list 4 years ago. I don't have email newsletters. It's authentic engagement through new media here and now. And one of the best things that happened to me as a brand was Insta Stories Live. I'd been on Insta for 6 years before. I'd posted over 10,000 times, and it's the 10,000 hour rule. Malcolm Gladwell sources it. Get the book. Says about how the Beatles became big in Hamburg because they were working 10,000 hours. Now, guess what else, fellow artists? Don't expect to pop work up on Terra Virtua and it just magically sells with the whole world fighting for it. Not going to happen. You have to dig in, buy your own NFT, get your friends to buy your own NFTs. And the other question from the community that's right up, other artists using the guerrilla approach. The great thing is with the guerrilla approach, it's an adrenaline rush. There are no rules, and it's better to ask the question and dive in than wonder what if. And a lot of my celebrity signed dollar bills at the peak of the time in 2015 were, has anyone got any other questions? Yes, I've got a question, Lewis Hamilton. Can you sign this dollar bill for Heroes and Villains, please? Sure, come up on stage. My name's Jim Wheat. I lost all my money in art. I'm going to feature Lewis. Thanks, Lewis. There's the dollar bills. After the press conference, they're like, how on earth did you just do that? And guerrilla, guerrilla is guerrilla. But if everyone in the world went guerrilla at the same time, we drowned out. It'd be like trying to get a tweet notice these days. Good luck with that. Good luck with getting that tweet notice where you've got three
difficult.
So difficult. So within this, the question of going guerrilla is you've got to do it within your means. What it does for me is it takes me back to being the cheeky child at school, the one that was telling the jokes, sometimes inappropriate, and they still are to this day. And be that cheeky chappy, be that cheeky girl, be that cheeky whatever you want to be. Keep that child in you alive.
Yeah.
And that's part of the battle. And corporately, and those of us that are holding good jobs down, there is a corporate shackle. But if you can align your dollars and art, and the art of life is being paid for who you really are, with energy and money to help you choose the things that you want to do with your life, then you've got it. And it might not be the 6th Ferrari that you rent in Dubai because you're at the crypto conference and you've just lent it and you're leveraged up to the neck in debt because the coin that you've launched doesn't exist. Let's not go there. But it's out there, which is why this crypto piece with Trump, and this is Terra Virtua's creative brains behind this, we wanted to do something that replaced some of the dollars with Ethereum, with Bitcoin, with Bitcoin Cash. So guess what we've done? This is the opportunity to buy this NFT, and this one is not going to be $100 bills. This is going to get you. In fact, I tell a lie. There is a version of the crypto ones that will start under the $5,000 mark. So everything that's going to be on this marketplace will be under the $5,000. And there's voiceovers. There is things that you guys have done to bring this to life. But here's the dichotomy. Here's the hero and villain. The dollar versus crypto. The dollar versus Bitcoin. Bitcoin versus Dodge to the moon. Dodge to the moon versus Ethereum. And we go on and we go upwards. And you look at Trump less than a week ago said Bitcoin's fake news, it's fraud. Elon Musk tweets, the whole world buys Dodge. But look at Trump's eyebrows. We got the Twitter, obviously the icons, but we've got the crypto graph and the candlesticks going down and going up, going down and going up. If we work with love and passion, same with the crypto world that you operate in and the investments that you make at your own risk, hopefully they align with your heart, they mean something to you, and your investment will grow. But it's a game of money and there's no guarantee. So these crypto pieces, I believe, within the crypto world are going to create a lot of interest because it gives you, the crypto community, the chance to spend your hard-earned Ethereum and dollars on these pieces of art that celebrate the dollar and the crypto in the same voice.
Absolutely, yeah.
Should we go ahead and play one of the ones with the
yes,
sound?
Please. I'm
really hoping it's going to come through. So
go on, we'll be fine.
Bitcoin is a scam. It's fake news. Bitcoin news. Bitcoin scam. Bitcoin news. Bitcoin scam. Bitcoin news.
If you keep that on, I'm going to start dropping British rap over the top.
That's awesome. Now, Jim is now obviously, obviously we're going to
Bitcoin news.
Love it.
we're getting a chuckle from this, but I'm sure is there a particular title to this one? This seems to be a little bit of a special.
This one, in fact, could you go back on that now? I've called this one Rainbow. So it's not rainbow, it's Rainbow. So it's the Rainbow Crypto Dollarsandart edition, right? So you've got the rainbow. The rainbow stands for so much. It's having the courage to be who you truly are, whether that's from a pride perspective, living life colorfully perspective. What that rainbow stands for so much, particularly in this day and age, right? Rainbow in my day in the mid 1970s was a kids show with George Zippy Bungle and I love a bit of retro. So rainbow for me, the rainbow can be the icing on the cake of a crappy day, and it can be raining all day, and you get that glimmer of hope, particularly in the UK where we're not shy on rain. And it's like there's that pot of gold at the end. Well, maybe it's not gold now. Maybe there's a pot of Bitcoin investment. Maybe there's an NFT that you've bought for $100 from the Terra Virtua marketplace. And because the original patent's been bought by Donald Trump and it's gone for $1 million and loads of Ethereum, your 100 has now become 500 or 1,000, but you're never going to sell it. It's an investment for the family. So that's where I think this path could take us. And the rainbow crypto piece for me with Bitcoin on the side is so powerful because decentralization of currency, decentralization of people, decentralization of sexuality and liberation. It's a huge topic of discussion, and hats off again to Terra Virtua and the design team because I've given the titles. I mean, look at it coming in and out of his hair. That is brilliant.
Shall I roll this one with sound as well?
Please.
I'm very rich. Bitcoin is a scam. Bitcoin, I'm very rich. Bitcoin, I'm very rich. Make America great again.
Look at the dollar. Do you know what I love there? You've replaced the Trump sign dollar with what I would call the Lego digital version, and you're spinning it round like Trump's bow tie. and also on that one, the original Lego block retro character has been replaced by a design one that my designer in Chester actually did to make, you know, his hair fly a bit back, and he's hanging on to that American flag. But for me, I'm so excited to see the variation on this, and I think as an NFT investment, you could do a lot worse than this piece.
Awesome. And I love how much fun you're having with this. And I think that's really important when it comes to art pieces. You know, there tends to be an element of very seriousness in artists going in depth in your work. But I'm glad when we go in depth with your work, there's a lot of passion, a lot of storytelling, a lot of history to this, a lot of meaning to you that you're sharing for others to actually be subjective about. So it's really refreshing to see that. And coming on here, having some laughs and having some smiles. I do want to get some questions in, Jen. If I think there was a couple that flew by, but I want to get them in so that we have time for people to go ahead to launch. Let's try and squeeze these in real quick. So from Crypto Block Dan, Jim, cool to hear all this. Did a Google image search and saw you with Sir Ian Botham.
Yes. Right? So Sir Ian Botham, Lord Botham now. He's actually Lord Botham. He's my patron, and he's a cricketer from back in the day, 1981, right? And Beefy is colorblind, red and green. He doesn't know red, he doesn't know green. He sees light grey and dark grey. He was one of the most successful, disruptive cricketers that ever lived. And guess what? They didn't know he was colorblind. That was his secret. So Beefy in 2011, I approached him, looked after him on the golf course. He got to know my story. He actually forwarded a book that I wrote called Go Smell the Flowers. That's a whole different story. But Beefy became my patron, colorblind cricketer. And he agreed to launch my basically New York collection. And this is the irony, Jeff. This is how far full circle this has come. Talk about creating the reality. And I'm going to give me little reality creating Buddha a rub here. Along with the $100 eraser and my incense sticks. I hope that this will bring me to New York one day. And where are you sat now, Jeff?
I'm right outside of New York. So
and here's the weird thing. The New York collection was in York in England. And I couldn't get to New York 6 years ago. My name wasn't there, hadn't done the right launches. I was getting there. So in a place called York, according to McGee, we launched that collection, and Ian Botham opened it, and I can make that video available because we did a big launch thing, and it was 15 artworks, and a percentage of that went to New Visuality, which was helping children with special needs. So great question, and thanks for the Google search, because you never know what's going to come up.
Another one from Imagine Gaming. Excuse me. If you could describe your art in 3 words, what would they be? This will get interesting.
Cool. Passion, authenticity, vulnerability.
Wow, that's heavy.
It's had its heavy moments, I tell you, and particularly if and when we get to the NFT and the money collection from 2013, every piece of that goes into a huge story of guilt, of indulgence, of excess, of humor, and you've got to get through the mourning phase to get through this boyish ball of energy you've got in front of you now. I couldn't have done this.
Absolutely.
I couldn't have done this 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Not a chance.
Here we have one from Eleanor Bruce. This is another really good. You guys are coming with some really good questions today. If you could have any celebrity alive or dead signing a dollar bill, who would it be and why?
Thanks, Eleanor. It would be Winston Churchill, because he was a timeless classic leader. He suffered from bipolar disorder, and he never gave up. And he had a lot of failures before he was put in the hot seat of what he was remembered as the stoic leader taking us to the fight. It's not just because I can do a poor impression of him. But if you want a bit of inspiration, get Gary Oldman on the Winston Churchill film. Unbelievable. So I would say Winston Churchill, 100%. And if I can go the feminine side, it's got to be Mother Teresa, because of what she stood for, from the heart. Way out of my league in terms of ethereal spirituality, but on the advice that we're all connected and we're all one vibe, then Mother Teresa would be a great would it be the dollar bill? I'd probably do the rupee for her, I think, if I'm allowed a currency. And Winston would probably be the £50 note.
Awesome. Here another one from Julian Ingram. Who are your artistic influences?
Initially, Julian, it's got to be Warhol. One of my first Disruptives pop art was Andy Warhol. I love the story about Picasso in Montmartre. He's at a restaurant. A girl comes up, Mr. Picasso, can you sign my napkin? He said, I'll sign the napkin. He signs it, gives her it back. And he goes, whoa, 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 whoa. 10,000 francs if you want this. She said, Mr. Picasso, it took you 3 seconds to sign that. He said, no, it took me 43 years. I'm Picasso. So that's all about self-worth. My artistic influences are really here from the heart and the people that I see and around every day. So Heroes and Villains, what's going to drop in the next 4 months on Terra Virtua Marketplace, are going to be looking at those things that influenced me to paint on a construction laborer's overall, to paint on my security guard shirt and make him the hero or the villain. And it's those influences, aspirations, and the ups and downs that keep me inspiring and keep me creating.
And cool. And this was just like a really excellent story, Jim. I think this is a lot more exciting than it looks. You know, people see the Trump, but there's so much more going on here.
Nice palm, yeah.
Yeah, and I really like the boldness. You know, ever since we've met, something that always stood out to me is just how bold you were and said, listen, I know that, you know, when people bring up Trump in conversations or on social media, it's such a taboo thing, people will fight, but you just jump right into it and go. I knew you were going to do this. Here comes the physical piece. He asked us, should I bring this into the camera? So there's the real dollar bill with the real Donald Trump signature on it, hanging up in Jim's place here. But Jim, no, it's really awesome, and your passion is just infecting, and I hope it, you know, this positive energy continues on in your career as you continue on this process. I think it's a super cool and unique idea, you know, with the dollar bills, dollars and art. I think that it's just your own brand, your own style. And then you just bring this energy to it that's really infectious. So, you know, as we continue on, for those watching, I do want to, you know, we have about just only a couple minutes or 5 minutes or so until these pieces from Jim from Dollars and Art will be live on the Terra Virtual platform. So go check them out. I think you guys would be pleasantly surprised with the pricing of these artworks. They are very affordable. Jim was very interested in getting everybody involved from around the world, those that might be meeting Jim for the first time today, or fans from around the world, either on Twitch or YouTube or all the places we are streaming right now. Really, really cool idea, Jim, to let everyone get a taste of your art, start collecting, start picking up some pieces. I'm a big fan of that for entry-level people. And yeah, I just wish you nothing but success as you continue on this journey, and hopefully you'll share more stories with us in the future. No,
for sure. And thanks to Terra Virtua, thanks to Jen, Holly, and Ellie, and Rue in LA, and Jeff yourself. Thanks to the team. It's great to find a home for the heroes and villains. And you're seeing 2% of this collection that's going to be exclusively on the marketplace at Terra Virtua. And you're looking at entry-level $100. And guess what? Trump's not going away. And guess what?
No, he might be back. So
we're going to build up to the big piece going under the hammer at some point this year. And this is just the start. And I thank everyone for the questions, and Team Terra Virtua, thanks for amplifying this and making it extra special. I'm really grateful.
Absolutely, and appreciate it. I do want for people watching that are going to be heading over to the marketplace imminently. If you do sort by independent artists, it is under Jim Wheat. This is the Dollars and Art collection. So I just don't, if you are searching for this work, it will be listed under Jim Wheat. So don't panic if you don't see it under Dollars and Art, but there are levels to this. So we wanted to credit Jim here. So if you want to search that through the marketplace options and parameters, please go ahead and head over there shortly. Wow, we hit this like almost dead on the nail for an hour. So Jim, again, a pleasure speaking with you. Have to back you up with the girls on our side. helping out. They always do a phenomenal job getting this stuff set up. So shout out to us, the marketing girls over there. And stay in touch. And we'll look forward to seeing the continuation of this, your plan for this in the near future.
Thank you. Great job.
Should we end it with the final playthrough of the
Yes.
Yeah. We'll end with that, yeah?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Bitcoin is a scam. That's fake news. Bitcoin news. Bitcoin scam. Bitcoin news. Bitcoin fake news.
Awesome. All right. Well, Jim, you take care, and I'm sure we'll hear more of your stories soon.
Bitcoin. I'm very rich. Bitcoin.
Jen's not going to stop.
Make America gay.
Jen's going to buy one of these. Definitely. Definitely.
I love them. I really do. They're awesome.
Well done, guys. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Chen, for sticking around. And for those watching, thanks for tuning in, and we shall see you guys again.
Thank you.
Take care. Enjoy your day.
Bye.
Cheers. Thank you.
See you, Jim. Bye.